ब्रिटेन ने लीडर ऑफ हाउस ऑफ कॉमन्स एमपी जेकब रीस-मोग के साथ एक मुनफरिद अफ्तार पार्टी का ऑनलाइन इंतज़ाम किया, जिसमें शुरका को अफ्तार पार्सल अरसाल किए गए, जो एक खुशगवार अंदाज था। शुरकाए अफ्तार में फ्री ट्रेड इनिशिएटिव के सबरा डैनियल हनान एमपी, साकब भट्टी, मुस्लिम्स फॉर ब्रिटेन के सदर इफ्तार ऐवान, चीफ एग्जीक्यूटिव आतिफ शाह, चेयरमैन आफ्ताब चुगताई एमबीई, जबकि इसकी सदारत मारूफ कौमी चैनल की आलमी खबरों के इंचार्ज रेगे उमर ने की और इस अहम अफ्तार की सदारत पर इजहार मसरत किया, जिसमें मुख्तलिफ शोबा अफ्तार के उन्होंने 100 से ज़ायद मकामी मुस्लिम नौजवानों की क़यादत करते हुए 25,000 तैयार खाने NHS के फ्रंट लाइन स्टाफ और बेघर अफराद में, 10,000 फूड पैक बूढ़े और मुस्तहिकीन अफराद में, जबकि 500 मकामी तैयार करदा हिफाजती मास्क तकसीम किए।
Property rights, limited government, a strong defence and free markets, all, I guess, underpinned and secured by the rule of law. Now, these challenges are significantly amplified in some minority communities.
I think Muslims for Britain has an opportunity to set an example of civic duty in a way that people can really engage and relate to. Civic duty, charity, being kind to others is core practices of Islam. It's embedded within our religious culture and history.
In the early caliphate, Islam created a global trading empire based on a gold standard and based on free exchange, based on something very close to what we would now call a joint stock venture with limited liability in the camel. It was very striking when we relived the centenary of the First World War, as it were, in real time, that the British Army in 1918 looked a lot more like the Britain of 2018 than the Britain of 1918. Right? So, at that time, the vast majority of British subjects were neither white nor Christian. This is not an unprecedented. But, I think we could have a great role again as a centre of Islamic finance, as a centre of trade, as a place where continents meet.
As a British Muslim, we're all products of our journeys, and the truth of the matter is that centre-right ideologies and centre-right ideas are actually very, very close to the journeys that many British Muslims have taken, whether they're first generation or second generation.
Ramadan is much harder, and I must confess my admiration for you all is enormous, because Catholic fasting is only required on 2 days of the year, on Ash Wednesday and Good Friday. Years ago, I went to Egypt, and it was during Ramadan, and the temperature was getting up into the 90s, even up to 100 degrees. And our tour guide didn't have a sip of water all day, and I was so impressed by that level of faith and piety. So my admiration for Muslims observing Ramadan is genuine and enormous. All day long, and so you're thinking about God as you feel hungry. You think, well, I'm going to remain hungry because of my love for God and because for all the great things he does for me. The least payback I can give, this modest payback I can give, is to be thinking about him during the course of the day. And I think that's the purpose. We genuinely have similar values. And I think, to go back to the monotheistic religions, that actually the secular right is more tolerant of religious belief than most other parts of the political spectrum. We still value it, we still see its importance. Many of us still hold deep religious faith, and therefore we are on the side of people from religious communities. And the pro-Europeans were very surprised by the success of Muslims for Britain and by the voting patterns that were shown during the Brexit result. I think that lots of communities that the Remainers thought would be automatically voting for them turned out not to be, because they felt they had been ignored, and Muslims for Britain was a very important part of that process and that political evolution.
There's been a lot of online iftars, and people have been doing all sorts of imaginative things during the quarantine. but I can't imagine that there are many others where actual official hampers of iftar food have been distributed. Muslims for Britain, as usual, leading the way, leading the pack.
افطار میں شامل موراکن چائے، ترکش کافی اور انجیر، سعودی اجوا کھجور، ایرانی پستے اور پاکستانی بکری کے دودھ والی برفی سے افطار کرتے ہوئے جیکب ریس ایم پی اور دیگر شرکاء نے پاکستانی اور مسلم کمیونٹی کی برطانیہ میں ناقابل فراموش خدمات اور ان کے کردار کو خراج تحسین پیش کیا اور مسلمز فار برٹن کی اعلیٰ کارکردگی کو سراہتے ہوئے تمام ٹیم کو مبارکباد پیش کی۔